Glenn Greenwald put out an article in The Intercept, and he also put this on Twitter, and I retweeted it. The 4 viral claims spread by journalists on Twitter in the last week alone that are completely false. It's all in reaction to Donna Brazile putting that article in Politico and then kind of backpedaling on TV on Sunday. It's pretty amazing, and showing how this disinformation machine works and the bots and what they do, and they just quickly spread it out there. So people just are on the internet scanning, they see a quick thing, and they go, oh yeah, Donna Brazile is with the Russians or whatever. They just like, oh, now Donna Brazile's Russian? She wanted to have war with them on Twitter 4 or 5 months ago. She put Russia interfering with our election is, in all quotes, an act of war. She was wanting World War III with Russia on Twitter. Donna Brazile was. So, it's great what Glenn Greenwald is doing, and I'll put the link to this below, and here's an excerpt from it. He said, it's well worth examining them, which is the documents and the emails, and both to document what the actual truth is, as well as to understand how often and easily online journalistic misleading occurs. He's really good at pointing this shit out. This is like his bread and butter. And it's like big-time journalists on Twitter with the blue check marks just are pushing this stuff out there. So I want to go over them. Viral falsehood number 1. The Clinton DNC agreement cited by Brazile only applied to the general election, not the primary. On Wednesday, Politico published a blockbuster accusation from Brazile's new book that the DNC had rigged the 2016 primary election for Hillary Clinton through an agreement that gave Clinton control over key aspects of the DNC, a claim that Senator Elizabeth Warren endorsed on CNN. The Clinton camp refused to comment publicly, but instead contacted their favorite reporters to publish their response as news. So this is how the Clintons work. The following day, NBC published an article by Alex Seitzwald that recited and endorsed the Clinton campaign's primary defense. Brazile was wrong because the agreement in question, a copy of which they provided to Seitzwald, applied only to preparations for the general election and had nothing to do with the primary season. That defense, if true, would be fatal to Brazile's claims, and so DNC loyal journalists all over Twitter instantly declared it to be true, thus pronouncing Brazile's accusations to have been fully debunked. They just throw that, oh, that's been debunked. Brazile's been debunked. The uranium one's been debunked. This post documents how quickly this claim was endorsed on Twitter by journalists and Democratic operatives. And the problem with this claim is that it is blatantly and obviously false. All one has to know is to read the agreement. He puts that in italics. Unlike the journalist spreading the DNC defense, Campaign Legal Center's Brendan Fisher bothered to read it and immediately saw and document how obviously false this claim was. So Brendan Fisher shows and highlights that the DNC will provide advance opportunity to review online or mass email communicative the features, in particular Democratic primary candidate. So he reads it and then puts it out there. None of these journalists read it. And then the NBC said, was, quote, debunking Donna Brazile, and then they basically walked it back. So that's funny. The Clinton DNC agreement explicitly vested the Clinton campaign with control over key matters during the primary season, the exact opposite of what journalists on Twitter caused hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people to believe. Nonetheless, DNC loyal commentators continued to cite headlines and tweets citing the legalistic language to convince numbers of people that the truth is exact opposite of what it actually is. And this is what Twitter is all about. This is what big time people do on Twitter. I've talked about this repeatedly. I remember watching during the Mike Pompeo, and I've mentioned this before, confirmation hearings. So they were confirming him to be, and he's a pro-torture guy. And Dianne Feinstein, we don't want torture, Mr. Trump, and you're appointing these pro-torture people. Her whole Twitter feed was, I'm against Mike Pompeo, I'm against torture, and then she votes for him. Because she knows that most people are not going to go to cabinetvotes.org and see who people voted for. They're just going to see some Twitter feed. Oh, Donna Brazile bombshell. Oh, it was all debunked. That's just, people get their news on the Twitter feed. They just scroll up or see some fucking meme on Facebook or Snapchat or whatever the fuck and go, oh, okay, this must be fact. It's bullshit. Viral falsehood number 2. Sanders signed the same agreement with the DNC that Clinton did. Why do they do this? To make it seem like what Clinton did was normal. Sanders signed the same thing, right? Simply put, the agreement Sanders signed with the DNC, which the Sanders camp appears to have provided ABC News in order to debunk the claim, did not contain any of the provisions vesting control over the DNC that made the Clinton agreement cited by Brazile so controversial. As ABC News put it, a joint fundraising agreement between the Bernie Sanders campaign and the Democratic National Convention obtained Friday by ABC News and signed in part, signed at the start of the primary campaign for the 2016 presidential election, does not include any language about coordinating on strategic decisions over hiring or budget, unlike a fundraising memo between Hillary Clinton and the DNC. ABC said that. So the fact is, that's bullshit. Bernie Sanders did not sign the same agreement as Hillary Clinton. Viral falsehood number 3. Brazile stupidly thought she could unilaterally remove Clinton as the nominee. So yesterday, the Washington Post published an article reporting on various claims made in Brazile Newsbook. The headline was widely tweeted. Made it seem as though Brazile delusionally believed she had a power which obviously she did not, in fact, possess. Donna Brazile, I considered replacing Clinton with Biden as 2016 Democratic nominee. The article said Brazile considered exercising this power after Clinton's fainting spell made her worry that Clinton was physically debilitated and her campaign was anemic and had the odor of failure. Brazile, as a result of her stinging criticisms and accusations of Clinton, Obama, and the DNC, is currently public enemy number 1 among Democrats in the media. So, of course, they're going to go after her. So they pretend that she claimed the power to be unilaterally remove Clinton on a whim and then use this claim to mercilessly vilify her. The chair of Al Gore's 2000 campaign, last year's interim head of the DNC and longtime Democratic Party operative, a deluded, insane, dishonest, profiteering, ignorant fabulist who lacks all credibility. Right? So she's out of her mind. Well, then why has she been in so much control over your party if she's that delusional? That's a great point. The Post then amended its story and put some little small print clarification, but none of the journalists on Twitter went back to look at the clarification that the Washington Post put in, right? And this is what they noted. The DNC charter empowered her to initiate replacement of the nominee, and that if a nominee became disabled, she explains, the party chair would oversee a complicated process of filling the vacancy that would include a meeting of the full DNC. That's all the Washington Post said. And it's weird, all these journalists on Twitter that are big pro-corporate Democratic people didn't then say that. Viral falsehood number 4. Evidence has emerged proving that the content of WikiLeaks documents and emails was doctored. Now, bullshit. They've been trying to say that since all this shit came out. Last year, from the time the WikiLeaks began publishing emails and documents from the DNC and John Podesta's email box, Clinton officials and their media supporters have constantly insinuated that it's all blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know all this shit. All anyone had to do was show the actual original email that they sent or received and then compare it to the altered WikiLeaks version, and that would have been proof that the WikiLeaks archive was unreliable, right? That's all you got to do. All you have, like, well, no, you claim I sent this email. Here's the actual email. But no one ever did that. That never happened. Never once did any of the dozens of Democratic Party operatives who sent or received the emails published by WikiLeaks point to a single specific case of an alteration. They just said they were altered, but they never gave any evidence. Something that obviously they would have eagerly done had they been able to, right? If you were accused of something and you had evidence to say it was altered and bullshit, you would immediately do that. You would immediately go, here's my computer, here's the email, see, the WikiLeaks was doctored. And Politico noted this last year, saying Clinton's team hasn't challenged the accuracy of even the most salacious emails released in the past 4 days, including those featuring aides making snarky references to Catholicism or a Bill Clinton protege describing Chelsea Clinton as a spoiled brat. And numerous digital forensic firms told Politico that they haven't seen any proof of tampering in the emails they've examined, added that only the hacked Democrats themselves could offer that kind of conclusive evidence. It's so maddening. You liars. They just keep lying. And this is what the Clintons and they can't stop from lying. They just lie and they get their people out there and it's unbelievable. Right? PolitiFact tried last year to fact check the Clinton campaign's claims the documents were doctored. They noted the Clinton campaign, however, has yet to produce any evidence that any specific emails in the latest leak were fraudulent. They have no evidence. And this is just hilarious to me. Brian Klaus on Twitter. Russians modified DNC emails to make them seem worse than they were. WikiLeaks propagated. Trump mentioned blah, 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 blah. There's just no way to prove it. It's so amazing. And this link is below. And just anytime anyone on Twitter says this bullshit, just send this link out. Just send Glenn Greenwald's article and let people know, nope, here are the facts, here are the facts. Here's a detailed list of facts, right? It's so great. Just arm yourself with the truth when you're dealing with these lunatics. These Clinton people, that they still hear this, and then Donna Brazil's nuts, so why was she in charge of everything? It's so unbelievable. They're so crazy. They're crazy. It's crazy. They're just as crazy as the Trump people. It's like when you point to the Trump people and go, he said that. He made fun of a journalist with a disability during the campaign. Oh, come on. It was taken out of context. No, it wasn't. And the Clinton people did the same thing. So, amen to The Intercept and Glenn Greenwald for staying on top of this. And of course, I've heard, corporate Democrat, oh, The Intercept is just a left-wing Breitbart, they've called The Intercept. No, it's this weird, crazy thing that they're still doing actual journalism. They're not bought by anybody. Still actual journalism. So, I love sharing this news with you guys, and thank you for watching the show.